depends on the network you choose. Your movies, music, and games can only be as good as your network's speed and strength. Slow means
game over.
But the Philippines' fastest mobile data network means
game changing.
Choose the network that gives you what you truly enjoy. How do you know about this Giga Life?
Simple eh? Smart ako.
Welcome once again, mga ka-Pinoyliga, mga kausapang, mga ka-Bull by the Horn. Welcome to episode number 7 of Bull by the Horn. Kita nyo, medyo nalilito na ako kasi we have an interchanging way of doing things. So last week po, it was usapang PSL with our volleyball crew from the Santa Lucia Ladies Spikers. So, ayan, nalilito na po ako. So, welcome po again. But this time, it's Bull by the Horn. Ayan po, ako po ang inyong Pinoyliga founder. My name is Benny Benitez and ako pinagpapasalamat. Every time nag-start po kami ng aming webcast, we always thank you for being with us. And I hope that, we're kind of becoming a part of your Saturday slowdown with your family if you want a dose of something sport, something about your favorite sport. May it be volleyball, may it be basketball, may it be something else. But for now, for this episode, we're excited. We're excited to talk about college basketball and college basketball recruitment in particular. Time immemorial talagang, pag enamored ka kasi talaga sa college basketball, hindi na pwedeng hindi maisama yung college recruitment. From the days of ako, noong 80s, sino maaalala natin about college recruitment? We're talking here of the San Beda Red Cubs going to the UP team. You're talking Paras, Magsano, Altamirano, all of these, young guns, na pumunta sa UP tapos nag-champion sila. That's recruitment. So parang high school to college. And then you talk on the 90s, kasi ako bedan po ako. So palagi kong pinag-uusapan during that time, yung Jenkins Messina, Renren Ritualo going to Lasal. Tapos endless talks about yung mga Ateneo, Lasal, BJ Manalo, all of these people, college recruitment. Parang engross tayo dyan. When we talk about college basketball, hindi mawawala yan. Siguro talaga ingrained na sa culture natin as a basketball crazy country. So yan po ang pag-uusapan natin. So wag po kayong bibitaw dahil napakaganda po ng ating episode and napaka-comprehensive po ng ating guest list. First and foremost, we would like to be we're honored to have one of the most bemedaled coaches in our country, from pro to amateur to PBA and back again. Hindi na po pwedeng maalis sa history ng basketball si Coach Derrick Pumaren. Manong Derrick Pumaren is with us today. And apart from that, we have two of the most respected sports writers in the land, Mr. Rico Olivares and Mr. Rico Navarro from Cebu. So bakit po may Cebu? Maganda rin pag-usapan yan kasi ang dami-dami nating pwedeng pag-usapan tungkol sa saan ba nanggaling si Don Ontiveros? Saan ba nanggaling si Jun Manso? Saan ba nanggaling si Paul Desiderio? Cebu Pride. So talagang kailangan natin pag-usapan yan. Kaya meron tayong representative from the South, one of my good friend, Mr. Rico Navarro. And we'll never forget the Wico father and son tandem of Chairman Popoy Wico and Vince Wico, who's also our writer. Nandito po sila. So talagang full pack talaga ang ating pag-uusap ngayon. Marami tayong pag-uusapan. At marami rin tayong segments ngayon na makaka-excite sa inyo kasi nagtanong din kami dun sa sa aming Facebook page. Pinakita nga namin doon kung ano yung picks ni Boss Rick Olivares sa sa top 10 recruits niya. So marami tayong segments along the way while we're talking. But also, hindi na po ako magpapatumpik-tumpik pa Meron po tayong Kickstart Coffee Question of the Day promo. Okay. So sa lahat po ng ating mga viewers and listeners and audience out there, handaan niyo na po. Our crew will be checking out some of your comments, some of your questions along the way so that you would have a chance to win a Kickstart Coffee gift pack. Pala yun, nagiging nagiging promoter na ako ng Kickstart Coffee. Pala ang gawin ko yan, gagawin ko ganito yan. Kickstart Coffee question of the day. Okay. Thank you very much from our friends from Silka Coffee, Mike Asuncion once again for always supporting us So yan, full pack. So naiintindihan niyo na po yung ating mangyayari ngayon So po kayo, humanda na po kayo sa isang magandang pag-uusap dahil marami po tayong mga kasama ngayon. But before that, gawin po natin lang muna tayo. Mag-round up lang po tayo ng Pinoyliga news around the league. So marami rin po tayo. So related din po sa pag-uusapan natin some of the news that we will be discussing today. One is this. I'm sure that you know about the recruitment of Lasal with Kevin Kiambao, Carl Tomayo, Jerry Abadio sa sa UP. So grabe talaga ang lakas ngayon ng sabi nga nila, it's championship or bust daw sa UP. Kasi ang lakas-lakas yata nung pagkakakuha. They have a core already and I think yung Gomez Diliano brothers also will be coming back. So that's the core already. Ang lakas-lakas talaga. So that's the first news that we gathered from our news team around our news feed pages And then there's other news like katulad po nito. Pag-uusapan po natin yan mamaya. Bye si Safi, hello Manila. Kaya ako po pinasok yan kasi po mamaya, sabi ko nga sa inyo, is that we will also try to talk about the regional flavor of recruitment. Kasi maganda pong pag-usapan talaga yan. Hindi pwedeng mawala ang ating mga friends from Cebu or from, siguro ang hotbed na rin for Philippine basketball ngayon, Pampanga. So yung mga ganun, yung mga nuances, yung mga maliliit na bagay about recruitment, I'm sure you'll be curious to know, paano nga ba nakukuha? How do they spot talent? Are they talking about yung raw talent, tapos gusto na ba nila yung talagang polished, yung race-worthy level? Or paano ba yung mga tipong global? Pag-uusapan din natin, how did they capture the likes of Dwight Ramos? Paano ba itong mga Jamie Malonzo na to? Has it been global already? Marami, 'di ba? So ako, I'm very curious to know. So hindi na ako magpapatumpik-tumpik pa, guys, So i-introduce ko na one by one ang ating mga panelists, starting with one of the respected journalists in our country. He's a sportsman, he's also a music man, he's also so many things, a blogger and everything. Mr. Rico Olivares.
Hi, good
Hi.
evening. Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening.
Hi, Rick. Kamusta? How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Siyempre, if we talk about basketball and college basketball here in the Philippines, I wouldn't, hindi kita pwedeng i-pass on, Boss Rick, So, say good, say your pleasantries to our viewers out there.
Yeah, I want to say hi to everyone watching Bull by the Horn. Dito, kay Benny Benitez, who's a good friend, and I'm working with him sa Phil Oil Tournament also. And I hope everyone's safe out there and you take every precaution because this pandemic is just really frightening. So, yun, I hope you're all safe. Stay home and watch us talk about basketball, college basketball to be exact.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Boss Rick, for that. Ano, and I hope that you're doing great. And mamaya, sana pa, if we have the time, pag-usapan din natin yung mga small interests mo, like yung music and everything. Ano. So, hindi, masarap pag-usapan yan. Ano. Nakikita ko yung mga interest mo. Ano. Okay. Boss Rick, pasok natin yung susunod natin. Ano. This is a good friend of mine, ano, and then he's one of my family sa Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas, ano, Mr. Rico Navarro.
Mm.
Hi, RD. Hi. How are
Hello,
you?
Benny. Hello, Rick. Good to see you. Mayang gabi kanitong tanan. Everybody here watching here, so it's good to see you right here in the Pinoyliga.
All right. Say your pleasantries sa mga taga Cebu natin, RD, ano? I'm sure that they're watching, ano. Kamustahin natin sila.
Yes, sir. Sa mayang gabi sa taga Cebu and Tibok Visayas sa Mindanao, then hinaut unta nga malingaw mo sa atong hisgutan karon. We'll talk about college recruitment. We'll talk about people. I mean, we know that a lot of prom day players go to Manila coming from the Vismin. I'm not talking only about Cebu. No? The Vismin is like a farm, no, where people go and get fruits, no, and they move up to Manila. So we'll talk about that later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, RD Rico Navarro, and we'll be looking forward sa lahat ng yung inputs, ano, yung mga regional inputs, ano. Baka mamaya makaspot tayo ng talents, ano, mamaya. So siguro pasok tayo dun sa susunod natin na sportscaster sports writer who's gonna be part of our panel, Mr. Vince Vico. Vince, how are you?
Okay naman. Good evening, Benny. Good evening, Rick. Good evening, Rico. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be back here. Last time I was here, we discussed about Ateneo's success in college basketball. So for tonight, to the viewers of Bull by the Horn, stay tuned. Keep your eyes on us. You're in for a lot of interesting stuff tonight.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you very much. For being always supportive of our endeavors, ano, at for being part always of our crew, at yung readiness mo to always come in, ano. Thank you very much, ano. And then, of course, yung pinag-uusapan nga natin kanina, who is a bemedaled coach, all levels, ano. And ako, I've been following talaga yung kanyang career, no, from the time na yung Lasal, Limpot days, tapos yung mga PBA days sa Sunkist. Kasi kalaban ng pinaka-paborito kong team kasi yung Sunkist noong time na yon. Kasi ang paborito kong player no si Jolas eh. So talagang parang kalaban nila yan. Sunkist Berhelmeneses days. Ano? And then of course Triple B in every level that he coached, ano, he found success in it. So I'd like to welcome Manong Derrick Pumaren. Hi Manong.
Hi, good evening, Renny. Good evening.
Thank you very much for being with us, Manong. Sige, say your pleasantries muna to our fans out there who's waiting for your insights. Ano?
Well, good evening to everybody. Hope you are all well. No? Just stay home, stay safe tayo. Medyo para mabilis ang basketball, panood natin kagad. So stay home tayo.
Thank you. Correct, Coach. Mahirap na talaga yung parang tipong isasaalang-alang natin ang ating health and safety. So tama lang yon. Mas mabuti nandito na muna sila sa atin at makinig na lang muna sila about college basketball and our insights. Ano. And last but definitely not the least, and I will always be grateful and thankful sa kanyang presence. Although medyo nawala siya sa streams natin ngayon. But we will be with Chairman Philip Wico in the panel, in the discussion, although I think he went out dun sa ating stream. So sige, we will catch up with him in a few, and once na makapasok siya sa stream, we will let him in. So let me start the ball rolling now, Rick. Siguro I will throw this question sa iyo directly. Ikaw na agad. I will ask the question. Why are we engrossed with college basketball? Bakit ba pag sinabi nating college basketball, yung recruitment from high school to college talagang kumbaga nagiging competitive even on a fan level? Why is that?
Well, the cool thing about college basketball is that right of renewal every year. You have all these new players coming in to replace those who've exited. And for many fans, you watch them in high school, and some of them you dream to be wearing your colors. And that's what makes it fascinating. And to challenge for a championship, that's bragging rights for all schools. And everyone just wants to, the excitement of college basketball is something. You know that it's different even from the pros. I'm not saying the professional ranks is not as fun. No, it's definitely fun. Pero iba yung school fervor. Iba yung may pinaglalaban ka na hindi corporate yung loyalties, no? And
Yeah,
when you go to school, you carry those colors for the rest of your life. It's part of what defines you and who you are. And to have these athletes representing your school and to say that you're fellow alumni, that's one thing. And it's just exciting to see. The cool thing is also is you see all this young talent. Dati hindi masyado pinapansin yung high school basketball, but
right.
for those who follow college ball, you just can't wait for those young guns to move up to the seniors ranks. And as far as I've been watching basket college ball since 1983, grabe talaga.
1883, grabe.
Yeah, I was in high school and I was watching
Okay.
Jojo Lastimosa play for Ateneo at the time. And I watched because of Jolas. And
Oh, pares tayo ah.
sila Chot Reyes yun. And I've been watching and hindi lang Ateneo pinapanood ko. I would watch all the other schools. So, back then all schools would play in one day. So you can bet my brain was mush afterwards. No? That's why I kind of
Wow.
remember a lot of these games.
Nako, mukhang magto-throwback tayo sa mga ganyang klaseng discussion na mga 83, malamang yan yung sa Rizal Memorial eh. Coach Derrick, Manong, why is that? Bakit
Yes.
nga ba tayo enamored sa ating college basketball wars and siguro can you give us a bird's eye view so from where you stand kung bakit nga ba ganito being the most experienced among us dito in terms of coaching. Ano nga ba? Why?
Well, I think siguro tama siya na it's more exciting ang college and then you have already a following, di ba? Yung mga estudyante, yung mga alumni. So, there's always a bragging right. There's the rivalry. Before, there's just Ateneo Lasal. But now, meron na ibang eskwela, UP, other teams like that. So, the excitement's different. The spirit is different. When I entered Lasal, parang I didn't know pa yung Ateneo Lasal. Ano yun, di ba? Parang ordinary game lang. But once we started playing Ateneo, you feel the presence ng pressure. You feel yung excitement. Nararamdaman mo inside the dressing room. Na even though you're not really a good team, parang you'll be playing like a champion team. When you go out there and you step on the floor. So it's different. That's why it's different. The spirit is a lot different. Siguro nga because of the support ng not just the students but especially yung mga diehard alumni.
Speaking of alumni, coach, does that add a bit of pressure in terms of how siguro let's just dive into our topic how is the alumni a big factor as well in terms of really putting in anteing up or leveling up our game in terms of recruitment? What's your thought on that?
Well, of course, no, may mga alumni na maganda mag-support, no? But the thing there is that double blade. Sometimes I would say na yung the alumni, the support, yung maganda, no? It will do well for the team. But on the other
Right.
hand, the other side naman, it's because of their I would say yung pagka-diehard nila. They have the tendency sometimes to criticize the team, especially the players, diba? Yung players. And sometimes it affects the feelings, the mentality ng players. So as I've said, double blade guy, di ba? That
Yeah.
they can support you, they can lift you up, but they can bring you down also because especially when you lose. Di ba? When you lose, it's like there will be a lot of coaches, there were a lot of comments. So kasama yan, kasama. That's why when I accepted the job again of LaSalle, I've been in this situation. So I
Right.
know kung anong situation to I'm entering
Mm.
into. No? I'm not a newbie here, so I know how to deal with that.
Right. Tumatawa si Boss Rico Navarro out there. Mukhang you have some thoughts on that, RD. What's up? What do you think of that?
Yep, that's so true. No? In fact, the rivalry that you talk about, actually, if you look at the history of things, it didn't even start with sports, by the way. No? So the history
Mm.
here is, remember, you had all these private schools being set up across the country. We're talking Metro Manila
Mm.
right now. So the competition there initially was which was the better school. Was it school A,
Mm.
B, or C? Then
Ah.
naturally, there would come competitions. Yung may inter-school, academic, spelling bee, mga ganun. Then that would spill over to that pride. And remember, they built a lot of school pride in all their students. They say, hey, we're the better school, we're the better school. And that would overflow into the sports scene. And that's where we find
Correct.
ourselves now. That bursting energy of school pride, and you're looking back all the way, even way back to the 30s, 40s. I mean, it was there, it built up there. Then, of course, well, the marketing people, the brand managers did a great job of building the brand. Competition came in, and that's where we find ourselves here right now, and that's why we have these recruiting wars. And so the recruiting wars are there to make sure that we stack up on the best possible players, so that our team or our school is the best team, not only this season but for the seasons to come.
Right, right. Agree with you. Ano. Ako naman, I want to talk about the fan perspective or the alumni perspective with Vince, ano, who's one of the biggest fans of LaSalle, ano, together with Chairman Rico, who's here already. What are your thoughts on that, Vince?
Well, my first college game I ever watched was actually UP-FEU, and it was around in '88 at Rizal. I was still in grade school,
Okay.
so I think they were playing for third place, and then the second game was going to be La Salle Ateneo. I think that was for at stake. I think was the championship. Ateneo's back to back versus LaSalle's attempt at the first championship in the UAAP since entering the league in 1986. So it was very exciting. Um, College basketball is very exciting. The recruitment, the competitive spirit of all the fans, the alumni, um, makes it even more exciting. The bragging rights for 1 year when you win the title, and also the fact that you're an alumni, you studied, you went to the institution for 4 to 5 years adds to the um, competitive spirit. And with this business of recruitment, I think the schools owe it to their stakeholders, the students, the alumni, to put out the best product they can, best 16 kids they can on the floor. Um, uh, to succeed, to be successful.
Agree, agree. Oh, si Chairman, ano, Popoy Wico is already in the virtual room. Now, let's just try to add him in, ano. Hi, Chairman. How are you?
Ay, there's no video. I can just hear you,
There's
but
no video.
I don't see you.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see me, but that's all right.
All right, Chairman, can you chime in on us even without video? Is that fine with you?
Yeah, it's fine with me.
All right. Sige, Chairman, ganito, let me just try and give you the floor so that you could say your pleasantries to our viewers out there.
Well, it's just going to be pleasantries now because I missed the discussion earlier, so I'll just greet
I'll,
because I cannot
I'll greet first.
follow the discussion because I wasn't there. No? So I just like to
Yeah.
greet everyone. Your guests, you've got a real good panel, Coach Derrick, and then you've got the writer from Cebu, Mr. Navarro, and Mr. Olivares. So
Yep.
it's a good mix that you have, and you've got my son, and I think I'm the oldest in this room.
Oh no, hindi. But you are the wisest. Chairman, thank you very much for being with us. But just stay tuned sa ating marami tayong pag-uusapan kasi kanina we were talking about and we were starting the discussion with why the college basketball is really ingrained in our consciousness as a basketball nation. Pagkatapos, we were talking about a bit of how alumni are a factor in terms of, building up a competitive team, and sigla Coach Derrick has mentioned some of their insights, So ako, para bang I was trying to really establish why we really are into college basketball, But let me just deep dive into how college recruitments are done, Coach Derek, pasok ko muna sa inyo. In terms of process, do you have a process, let's say, talking about a recruit, Do you go for polished or do you go for raw? What are those telltale signs na nakikita mo in terms of your, system? It's just how do you spot talents, how do you come up with okay, mukhang I'll zero in on this? Is it because of the need of the team, or is it because purely talented to, regardless of my need, kunin ko to?
Well, of course, we're looking at talent, no? But at the same time, uh, if this is a talented player, the question is, will he fit into the system? No? So that's the thing that I look at. That's why if you can see the recruits that I got, is that I feel that these guys will fit the system I'm trying to put in with LaSalle right now. So it's not just the talent. I'm looking at the attitude now, and then here are they willing to work, the things like that. And but first and foremost is that are they gonna fit in the system?
Ellen.
So yun ang tinitingnan ko, tinitingnan namin.
Right, right. So it's basically system on top of the talent, that you're
Yes.
looking at. Rick, what's your thought on that? In terms of looking at the current landscape of college basketball that we have. First things first, do we have talents talaga na talagang should we say, can compete on a global space, lalo na yung collegiate natin? Is it comparable now to the type of talent na meron sa states, what are your thoughts on our talent as of this time sa collegiate level?
I think that we have the talent to compete. Probably, we're talking about college level.
Yeah, college, oo.
Meron naman, but medyo kapus-kapus pa ng konti. Kasi,
Right.
that's why you have the Phil-Ams coming in, no? They help augment that. That's not to say that we don't have a lot of local talent. We're good. We are good.
Yep.
In
Right.
Southeast Asia, that's undeniable. But when you get to Greater Asia,
Right.
that gets a little tougher, diba? So, but nevertheless, and having said that, we've seen some of our college players compete in the Jones Cup, whether for Mighty or for Ateneo. You've seen that they can compete. So the answer is also yes. Now, to your earlier question, to what Manong said, tama si Manong. Yung factors yan,
System.
kung anong kailangan mo sa team, sa system, but
Mm-mm.
I will add to that. I think it's also the Michael Jordan, Sam Bowie question. Do you
Okay.
go for talent or do you go for the positional player? There are some
Right.
players who are undeniable in their talent that you just have to get them and to find a way to play them. There are others who will just get only what is good, what they need. Pupunuin nila yan, whether it's the center position, the point guard position. However, when you have this tantalizing talent, as much as possible, kahit may nakapwesto na doon, kukunin mo pa rin. For many reasons. One, it'll make your team stronger. Number two, you want to deny your opponents getting that player. Now,
Correct.
it's not just talent, no? Tama si Manong, maganda yung insights ni Manong. But I think another
Mm.
factor that comes into play is attitude.
Right.
Malaking
Right.
malaking
Right.
bagay yan, no? Several years ago, during uh, prior to the NBTC All-Star game, and Coach Jong Uichiko was handling one of the teams, and he gathered his players, all high school stars, and they were all asking, Coach, what can I do to improve, to play in the PBA? Hindi ba college, oh? PBA na, tumalo na sila.
Okay.
Do I need to work on my dribbling, my shooting, my rebounding, my defense? Ang sabi ni Coach Jong, you need to have a good attitude because your good attitude will allow you to be coachable. It will allow you to
Right.
learn many skills and to understand your place in the team because sometimes not every rookie becomes a starter. Usually you have to earn your spurs. You sit on the bench. Not everyone can
Agree.
be Gironteng or Kiefer Ravena where you start right away, no?
Right.
So maraming factors yan. But it depends. That's Michael Jordan or Sam Bowie question. Do you get the
Right.
best
Right.
or do you get what you need?
Right. Agree on that, ano? Kumbaga, there's always that talent level na kailangan mo i-consider. RD Rico, what's your thought on that?
Well, I agree with both Rick and Manong. Now, the other thing that people are looking it's like a trend these days now that it's not purely talent that coaches are looking at right now. It's true they're looking at character, they're looking at coachability. Because remember, we in Cebu, we've had a host, and you know this now, we've had a host of very talented players go to Manila. But what happened to them afterwards? They're nowhere to be found now, or they never really reached their dreams of reaching the PBA. Or if they did,
Right.
they didn't last long. And if you look back, two cases are come up now. Number one, the maturity level of moving to Manila at such a young age. Number two, well, the attitude factor. Now, sometimes people go over to Manila thinking they're good already because they were recruited. Then they face reality. They see the competition that's just around them and it's really abundant. Then they can't react properly from the mental point. No, they break down. Uh, then the competitiveness drops right away. So that's the thing we look at right now. Some coaches are really looking at the well-roundedness. Hindi na talent, ha? Hindi na talent.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're well-rounded, you're coachable, you'll be mature enough to handle the systems. Or in the case kami, sa front of the province, you'll be mature enough to handle the pressures of going to the big city. So that's what
Mm-hmm.
coaches look at as well. But di lang masasayang yung kumbaga, investment or having somebody coming over from the province only to go back what within 2 or 3 months later.
Right. Speaking of provincial talent and all of these talents coming out of Cebu and other provinces, how important is the network for a coach? Siguro ko Manong, I'll start with you. How important is a network for a coach so that kahit hindi ko nakikita, hindi ko na-eye test yung isang talent, that I may be able to be kumbaga have a sound bite ba about the talent of that particular
Mhm.
player. How important is a coach's network of coaches or network of scouts for us to identify talent?
I think sa amin, those coaches play a big part. They I would say unsung heroes, no. Um, they tell us like if they're in Cebu and Davao that there's this player that you have to look at. He's very talented. He's good. And then you try to ask how's his game like this. It's like a scout. You have a scout in the
Right.
provinces. It's like a scout in the provinces. But I'm saying it's very important to us. And then that's the time we go there or we bring the kid here to see him personally. Because when I scout, I don't just look at one game. No? I look at him 2, 3 games, or if not, we try to bring him over here and practice an actual practice on how he can adapt,
Right.
adapt to the how would say more organized practice, schedule and practice. So that's a factor there. Pero yung as I said, the coaches, malaking part yan sa amin. Malaking tulong yan sa amin. Kasi we cannot be there all the time. So if
The
there's a
regional,
tournament, no, yeah, regional, hindi namin makikita yan. We just have to go there. But we're
Right.
going there. But when we go there, there's already a player that we're looking at, we're eyeing at, and this has been mentioned by those contact namin na coaches.
Kumbaga, coach, parang ang nangyayari na ngayon is nagkakaroon ka na ng para bang filtered list na para bang kumbaga kung
Yes,
magiging strategic tayo, kung iisipin natin mabuti, parang sige pupunta akong Cebu pero may shortlist na ako per position,
may short list.
ito na
Yes.
yung nakikita ko. Oo, and then
Or
kumbaga
if
ito
there's a
para
name
bang pwede
na
na
if there's a name that came out, and then you ask them,
oo.
then how is this player? What is he playing? No, things like that. So hindi lang naman actually
Oo.
from the province. Even here in Manila, there's a name that's gonna pop out,
Oo.
and then like from Davao or whatever, Cagayan de Oro. So you have to check that out from your connection from the coaches there.
Totoo yan eh, no? Para bang ang mangyayari dyan is if you don't have the capability para makipagkapwa-tao sa mga kapwa mo coach na nakalabas dyan, ano, baka hindi you might be ano no, you might not be able to capture yung ganong klaseng talent. Siguro punta muna ako kay ano, kay Chairman Rico, no. Chairman, may question ako sa iyo. You did manage ano volleyball team of the LaSalle squad, yung nag back-to-back championship ano. What was the experience in terms of you recruiting talent for that squad? Siguro you could chime in on that aspect ano.
Hindi lang back-to-back, three-peats yun.
Yun, ay sorry. sorry,
That
Chairman,
first,
it was a three-peat pala.
Three-peat of that volleyball team. And the team was already there, well established, and Ramil Jesus, the coach, did a very good job of recruiting, no? Si Miss Penetrante came from LaSalle Bacolod. And there were several others. Si Manila Santos came from a Chinese school. So, but usually, what happens, especially, and by the way, it's not just basketball that is doing recruitment. Volleyball, track and field, all of these sports.
Yes,
Basta,
definitely.
basta when the alumni of the school gets involved, you can expect a very aggressive recruitment. And they're virtually copying the American model. Naman din sa
Okay.
Pilipinas. Everything. So in that case, they were already there. And what happened was after that, I could see that Ramil was preparing for the graduation of these stars, no? And
Right.
he had replacements for them. Now, usually what happened in the case of volleyball and like track and field also, the coaches watch the palarong pambansa.
Right.
They go to the university games and they go far north. And there are contacts there. And although the recruitment here in the Philippines is not as organized as structured in America, no?
True.
There are laws. And you can go to jail if you violate those laws. Dito wala eh. Puro pakiramdaman. At saka walang organization that is regulating or putting some system in the recruitment process. No? It's each one to himself or herself. So I think that's going to be the next topic of discussion. No? Maybe how do you put order into this thing so that there is equity all throughout, and that just because you are a rich school doesn't mean you get all of the better recruits. No, so I think eventually that is where this discussion will be headed for. No, but based on my own experience, sa track and field, we depend a lot on the palaro and the regional meets. Our coaches go to the regional meet personally, and they start talking to the children, to the young kids, especially like now. We have a new pole vaulter by the name of Hackett de los Santos. He came from the province. He's a product of our grassroots program in Patafa. So that's part of it. No? Now he's now in UST. Na-sequester kagad ni Emerson Obiera, nadala na sa UST. But it's all right. That's for Philippine track and field. No? So, mga palaro, mga regional meets, and they have people there who send messages. And coaches.
Right.
In track and field, we have 46, 23 events. Each coach is looking for a particular athlete in his particular or her particular event. So there is no shortage of people casing the joint and looking at these people, and they have their criteria, and they will, just like what Coach Derrick said. Importante yung attitude because you will basically be, and what Mr. Navarro said earlier, you will be uprooting a person from the province and bringing him to the big city. Although Cebu is also a big city, so well compared to other cities in Visayas and Mindanao, for them siguro ang kanilang target is to first go to Cebu and then eventually to go to Manila. Pero
Mm-mm.
Cebu is also a big city. They have to make their adjustments once they go to Cebu.
True. Chairman, we talk about local, about Cebu, about our local tournaments, pero alam nyo ba, if there's one observation na nakita ko na ngayon, recruitment in college basketball has gone global.
Ah, yes.
You know,
Yeah,
we
that's
talk
true.
we talk about the Jamie Malonzos of the world. We talk about the Dwight Ramos. We talk about the Phil foreign athletes. Ito ang mas malaking I think this is a much bigger space for our college basketball and college basketball recruitment in particular. Rick, I want you to chime in on this. How
Mm.
have we evolved in terms of recruitment globally from 10 years ago? Nasa na ba tayo ngayon,
Actually, I think you can go more than 10 years ago. You can go back as far as the early 90s. No? Technically, you've seen foreign players in the league. I think FEU fielded one in the early 80s along with sila Glenn Capascio, and they won a couple. But that guy wasn't actually recruited. They just saw him walking on campus, taking up medicine, if I'm not mistaken. And they saw an American guy. They said, "Oh, you want to play?" And he could play. But the active recruitment for that started, I think it began with the Lago brothers and timely coach Derrick, and that provided a glimpse of the future for not only college basketball but even pro basketball.
Right.
And those guys were the Dwight and Elmer Lago. They were sound basketball players. Iba yung training na nakuha nila sa US, and they added uh, a multifaceted attack to LaSalle at the time. And after that, you saw,
Right.
but pero hindi pa eh. May mga pa isa-isa, Vince Season to Ateneo, pero not yet. I think that went into overdrive towards the late 90s until
Mm-hmm.
now. And I think even with San Beda pushed the envelope on that by getting Sam Ekwe.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
so, well, ganun talaga. That's recruiting for you, no? I think in the US, they don't even have a quota on that. Yeah, you're allowed to recruit, but there are rules. As Mr. Wico said earlier, uh, I guess at some point in time, all the schools are gonna revisit that concern and how do you curb or try to police that, but that's going to be very, very difficult. No?
Right.
Yeah, but it's
Oh.
it's global. It's definitely global, and I think it's wrong. I don't like the how the NCAA has decided not to allow foreigners. I think one, it's racist. Number two, uh, you're depriving the players from getting better. Some people will say you're taking slots. I beg to disagree. If you look at the composition of the national team in the late 90s and the early years of the new millennium, you will see more than half, or you can actually say 70% of the team were Phil foreigners or Phil amps. But by 2013, when we placed second in the FIBA Asia, there were only two. Two. So
Mm-hmm.
that means nag-level up in locals. Diba? And I
Yeah.
think I've done a fair amount of research on this, on the number of centers making it to the PBA. Let's face it, no? Tumangkad talaga ang player eh. Kahit tanggalin mo yung mga imports, tumangkad
Yeah.
ang Pilipino. So all of a sudden, a guy who's playing center in high school might not necessarily play the same position in college, lalo na sa pro. Di ba?
Right. Mm-mm.
So, you know, even naman in the States, a center, to recruit a center, rarity yan, mahirap. Mahirap. But
Right.
wala na. Medyo positionless basketball tayo ngayon all over the world. Dito medyo some schools are going that route, but not everyone. So to
Uh-uh.
answer your question, yes, it's gone global, and I think it's fantastic.
Agree. Ako naman, I have my, if I were to, to gauge the level of competition natin, talagang nag-improve na. Manong, what's your take on us going global in terms of our recruitment of players, do you have a process on this as well? Or how do you spot this, or what's your take really on getting the best talent outside the Philippines?
Well, I think it's almost the same lang. Parang you're scouting the province. You got also contacts abroad from the States, Italy, or whatever.
Mm-mm.
and then they tell you they recommend this player, and then you take a look at it, and then if he's okay, then you're bringing over, and then if he makes the team, then he makes the team. So it's kind of similar to recruiting like in the province. I mean, there's just also a coach that will recommend a player there, like in the States. No, right now there are a lot of coaches, a lot of Filipino coaches there that are recommending this player, half half Filipino, half Milis, you know. So maraming ganun ngayon. So it's parang ganun din, similar din yan sa province.
Right. So talagang ano na rin ano, coach, talagang medyo importante pa rin talaga yung pakikipag personal relationship din sa network ano
Yes.
outside the country. Does technology play a factor already on this? Ano medyo curious lang ako. Like kunyari, are you reliant on highlight videos para at least mag-gauge yung talent ng isang player pagkatapos saka mo i-shortlist? Is there
No,
already that kind of ano?
no, kasi yeah, usually when most of the players that are being recommended, like in the States, meron silang video highlights no, sa YouTube.
Right.
No? But I ask for the game tape. Na I don't ask for highlights.
Game
Kasi
tapes.
highlights,
Talagang game tape.
yeah,
Okay. Doon makikita mo yung
yeah,
nuances at saka yung behavior ng player eh. Oo.
you know,
Totoo.
I can
Oo.
see how he plays, you know, because the highlights,
Ah,
walang miss yan eh, di ba? Lahat ng dunk, pasok eh, di
correct.
ba? All the shots.
Ah,
But in the game,
totoo.
you see his tendency, you see if he's aggressive, you see that his attitude there, kung he's just an offensive
Agree.
player, he doesn't want to play defense, you know, things like that. So I don't really ask for, I ask for the game tape, no? And as much as possible, I said 2, 3 game tapes to really assess him.
No, mahirap din kasi no with the type of technology that we have no, you could edit out the bad parts and then just put in the good and then kumbaga mag-iiba na rin yung tingin mo dun sa player ano. Vince,
Mm.
what's your thought on our global basketball recruitment and how our talent level has increased in the last couple of years?
I think despite um, that the foreign players or the players abroad are more superior athletically and ability, I think the one common factor that coaches consider and recruiters consider is still the attitude, the character, also the if the kid is comes from a good family. Sometimes you also look at the social situation, the environment where the kid is from. You also look at the maybe even the company they keep, the people they hang out with. So I think there's also some form of background check um, for these blue chip recruits. You have to look into that as well.
Right. There's a question that I had from my friend here. Ano, how important daw yung aspect ng pagkakaroon ng isang junior-senior harmony? Kunyari, nasa isang school tayo na UPNC and you're coaching the senior team. How important it is na may harmony ka dun sa juniors program? Coach Derrick, bato ko muna sa iyo to itong phone-in question ng aking kaibigan.
Well, I think that is what we're trying to do right now with LaSalle, no? That Green Hills is not separate from TAP. LaSalle Subel is not separate from LaSalle TAP. So we want parang one LaSalle kami. So if there's a player that's graduating in Green Hills, then it's always the first priority is to go to LaSalle TAP. And medyo nagkaroon na ng konting pandemic, but that is what we're looking at. That is the program we're trying to do. That we want to make Sobel, Green Hill, TAP as one LaSalle.
Importante talaga no coach ano yung bang kasi ano na arm's length na yung yung talent sa iyo kasi more often ako no experience ko nung nasa San Beda ako nung high school ako nung iisa pa lang yung campus namin ano so makikita mo magpa-practice sa umaga yung mga seniors sila Boy Beats Victoria sila Olivares yung mga luminaries namin tapos sa hapon magpa-practice naman sila Renren Ritualo, sila Jenkins Messina. So, para bang as a fan, para bang iisipin mo sana dire-diretso na. Sana dumating na parang kasama na ng mga seniors namin si Renren. So, yung mga ganong klase, ano. So, para bang ang laking factor din talaga na parang geographically isa lang yung yung seniors at saka yung juniors, ano. But if that doesn't happen, like with your case, kasi maraming system ang Lasal, no. So that's
Yes.
part of the plan pala.
Oh, that's the plan, yes. At saka ang adjustment medyo maliit na lang, di ba? Because they know the culture of Lasalian. So, yun ang number one na mga gandang gagawa namin. Ang culture ng
Right.
Lasal doesn't have to make that big adjustment.
To the college program, regardless first of
Yes,
the
yes.
talent and the skill level, kung magfi-fit siya. It's more of alam na nila yung nuances ng pagiging Lasalista or pagiging Bedista or pagiging taga-Adamson na nag-juniors ka papunta sa sa seniors mo, no. Rick, what's your take on a very nice program? Kasi tayo, when we do the Phil Oil, we see the complete package. In the morning, you see the juniors, but in the afternoon, in the evening, nakikita mo yung seniors. How important it is na na-harmonize ng isang programa yung junior and senior program niya.
It's very important, no? But the high school basketball player today has changed. You can actually say that there was a time, medyo automatic yan. I just want to clarify, no, yung umakyat yung mga Red Cubs noon nila Ronnie Magsanok going to UP. I think San Beda at the time had left the NCAA.
Yes,
So they were
so
they were in a state of flux. But
right.
back to the point I was trying to make, the recruit today is different. Technically, if the kid comes up from the grade school all the way to the high school, more or less you're assured that more or less, I'm not saying sigurado yun na may slot yan sa seniors, but recruiting has changed that. So you see kids as early as grade school transferring already kung saan sila makakapuntang programa, kung saan sila makakalaro. And now in high school, that loyalty has further been put to question. It is no longer automatic that they will want to move up to the senior team of that school. Di ba? Tinitignan nila yung stacked and loaded by lineup. Do I get to play? Many of them will ask that question. Do I get to play? Do I get to be on that lineup come my freshman year? And some don't want to go to Team B, so they'll opt to move elsewhere. So it's not as simple now as fixing that program. Yes, it's a must, but marami kang ina-navigate dyan, no? That's stacked and loaded teams are good, but it's also a problem because sa dami ng player mo, how do you move up your juniors players to the seniors ranks? Mahirap mabulok eh. Marami na tayong nakitang ganyan, lumilipat. Kasi walang playing time, hindi makangat ng Team A, and then when they move, nakakalaro sila and they shine. Diba?
Right. Marami. Palaging sinasabi nila, ang shining example would be a Robert Bolick, Although si Bolick kasi talaga was very polished in a way coming from high school going to seniors, Sa Lasal niya, ang dami talaga stuck kasi during that time, Chairman, what's your thought on a harmonious juniors and seniors program that will determine the success of the college program? What's your take on that?
Well, schools, although they do not state this as an official policy, would as much as possible want to recruit or get players into college coming from their own high school. Parang homegrown. Homegrown. Because, when you bring in a new guy, you don't know really the background of that fellow.
Right.
Okay? And so, as far as sabi nga ni Coach, Juan Lasal, because they come from the same school, so it becomes like a seamless thing. Parang they just slide in to the senior program, assuming they have a role in the team, no? So the schools will want that as much as possible. In fact, one alumnus of one school said, hindi, kami ngayon, karamihan ngayon, homegrown. We do not want yung mga imports especially from other schools. Philippine schools, they said that, and I realized it makes sense. you get those people already wearing the same uniform. They don't have to change uniform and change attitude, change behavior, makikibagay pa ng panibago, and nandiyan na yan. So, I'm in favor of that. But again, in the end, the coach will have to say, okay, we want to fulfill that ideal, pero, what is our objective? The objective is to be very competitive and to win. Will this person help us win?
Agree.
Will we be more competitive? Ganon din yun dahil you've got pragmatic considerations. Okay? You have practical considerations. So, we're all for it, but again, it's, in the end, results are needed.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's how you convert the recruitment into the performance on the court that would matter. Ano? Although, syempre, there would be some happy problems that or actually medyo mga sticky points. Ano? I don't know if you'll agree with me here, Coach Manong. Ano? Kumbaga, para bang paano kung wala tayong talent na makita dun sa ating school, ano? Sa ating partner juniors program. And then talagang kumbaga para bang kailangan talagang humanap, ano. So talagang there's always that balance, Manong, of really
Yeah.
looking at it internally pero titignan mo rin talaga yung nasa labas, ano. Is that correct? Is that a
Yes,
fair
yes. Kasi
assessment, ano?
siyempre, if you have to be competitive and you want to win, di ba? You'll do that, di ba? You're looking at your homegrown at the same time you're looking outside also. Kasi
Right.
the thing there is the end result.
Totoo naman, totoo naman. So para bang sa ngayon we're all in a situation where we're all in agreement here that the performance and the success on the court would really be the primordial importance in terms of this. Now, with that said, medyo magbe-break lang muna tayo from our broadcast, and we'll try to put in some of our partner brands, but when we are back, we'll try to show you some of the videos that we have, and at the same time let's try to nitpick. Tignan natin kung ano yung naging resulta ng college recruitment game for 2020. So we'll try to show you mga picks ni RD Rico at saka ni Rick in terms of who are their top 10 picks, top 10 recruits, and who won. Sino-sino nga ba yung mga eskwelahan na nanalo sa ating college recruitment game after this?
When uncertainty is our reality, we rise above with the things that matter. Gigabyte happiness. Gigabyte love. Gigabyte friendship. Gigabyte dreams. Gigabyte hope. With smart Giga music, video, games, work, and stories, we let our passions run free in the new world we face together. Smart, live Giga.
And we are back. Again, palagi ko na lang sinasabi sa mga kaibigan ko na taga-Smart, na Mr. Epok Kimpo, Mr. Bajito Rosario, Mr. Froy and Diet. Tuwan-tuwa ako dun sa TVC nyo. Napapaindak ako, hindi nyo lang nakikita. So, thank you very much to Smart for always supporting us, and PLDT for supporting this broadcast. And like what I said earlier, let's try to nitpick. Tignan naman natin ngayon, ano ba nangyari sa college recruitment game natin this pandemic. So kahit may pandemic, talagang tuloy pa rin yung recruitment game natin. So we'll try to show you this graphic that shows the picks of Mr. Rick Olivares in terms of who won the college recruitment game and sino yung top 10 niya. So let's try to show what Rick has here. We have number 1, Dwight Ramos, Mac Wadanya, and Kevin Kiambao, Carl Tamayo, Jerry, RJ, Clint, Justin, Bismarck, and RC Kalimag. Very stacked. Rick, tell us your thoughts on your picks.
Well, do I go one by one or as a whole?
Sure, go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
Dwight Ramos, he was the subject of the recruiting war. A lot of schools wanted to get Dwight. He's going to step in for 30 Ravenna in that three spot. How he asserts himself at that three spot will determine whether there's a forfeit or for Ateneo or not. Because they lost a couple of guys who can hit that big shot late in the game. The other one being Matt Nieto or even Isaac Go. They will find others like Jolo, since Jolo Mendoza is back and SJ Belangel, as you can see, has stepped up. If Dwight can fill that spot, that three spot very well and assert himself, they will have a chance at the four-peat. But it's not going to be easy for Ateneo with LaSalle and UP really building up and aching to knock them down. Mac Godania stayed home. A lot of schools tried to get him. This kid is multi-talented. He can do a lot of things. He is a facilitator. Actually, he's like RJ Abarientos. Pareho style nila. They facilitate, they create, and they can score from just about anywhere. Grabe yung range nito, no? It's a coup for LPU to hold on to Mac Guadagna and even JP Barba because they want to show that continuity from their high school to college. Now, Kevin Kiambao and you can say Jerry Abadiano and Carl Tamayo, they're supposed to be the crown jewels of this draft, of this rookie draft or rookie recruitment. Sorry, but as you can see, they have all moved on to other schools. Kevin Kiambao, actually, between the three of these players, is, in my opinion, is the prize catch. When I look
Okay.
at Kevin, I think that he has this game intelligence. No, he can read the game very well. He's a silent worker. He can rebound. He's very good in the inside the paint and even from medium range, he can pass that ball. In fact, I find it frightening because not only because Manong is back in LaSalle, because Kevin Cambao reminds me of George Peralta when George was playing for LaSalle. They're cut in the same mold, this Kevin Cambao, except this kid has PBA written all over him. Now, Carl and Jerry, wow, these guys will add a lot with Joel Cagulangan still sitting out the year. Jerry can play right away and fill up that slot vacated by Jun Manzo. Carl Tamayo can play center, but I suspect he will move to the fourth spot with. I'm not sure if the Gomez Tillano brothers are coming back. Is that final?
They're coming back yata. Oo, sabi they have this 1 year na talagang papasok sila ulit. At tapos
Hintayin.
parang ang PR yata is that there's four GDL brothers na maglalaro in one team.
Okay, well, that's good for them, no? So it's nice to have these two players because when you play UP, para kang walang pahinga. Grabe yung lineup na to, and wow, it just adds a lot of dimension to their team. Wala kang itatapon dyan, mahusay kahit sino bunutin mo. It's just a
Right.
matter of them trying to find their role within the team. We saw that as a problem last year. Some of their players could not accept their roles and they struggled with it. Now, RJ Abarientos, as I said, plays like Mac Guadagna, a do-it-all player. And this kid is really exciting. He plays the game the right way with the right attitude. He never shows off. And he's a streak shooter. Once he gets going
Right.
from the outside, alam mo si Johnny, nung naglalaro si Johnny sa FEU, hindi pa known outside shooter yan. Meron pa isa-isa. Pero he was more known for getting to the basket, no?
Mhm.
This kid has even more range if you ask me. And
Yeah. Polished siya eh.
he's taller than Johnny. He can rebound and grabe to. This guy wants the ball in his hands come prime time. Clint Escamis, Mapuas loss is UE's game. This is another
Yes.
kid. I love this kid, no? He's like Mac Godani in a certain respect because his demeanor does not change whatever happens during the game. You knock him down, he just gets back up and plays the game the right way. He's a hard-nosed kid, can play inside out. He's like RJ and Mac. He can do everything. He will provide leadership and for UE for what
Okay.
their build up over there. I hope that they find continuity with that program. No, hirap yung papalit-palit.
True.
Justin Sanchez, nakita mo rito, another of the Red Cubs moving up to the senior Red Lions. That's a big plus for them because there was a time that Justin was thinking of moving to Ateneo, but he was prevailed upon to stay. And this kid, if you look at the Red Lions in recent years, no, they've had players like sila JV Mocon filling
Mhm.
that slot, that slashing two
Forward.
three yeah 2-3 player na swingman, and he will provide that. Now, this guy is a big time scorer. Bismarck Lina, couple of schools tried to get this kid. I like him because he's solid inside, excellent attitude. You have to love this kid's attitude. He works hard, he doesn't complain, he does what it takes, and iba yung leadership nito. Ang tanong lang dito sa batang to, how much playing time will he get with a loaded team under Aldin Ayo, no? I
Right.
think that I think rookies talaga, you need to play them kahit konting minuto kasi mahirap yung nababangko, nawawala yung kumpiyansa.
Right.
Okay, RC Kalimag, okay, this is a kid who's an example of what I was talking about, the problems in high school ball. Na,
Mm.
when you recruit sa high school and they don't move up from the grade school, the loyalty becomes a question.
Right.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad because the kids are just looking for the right position, the right slot for them, the niche for them. It can be good and bad depending on how you look at it.
Right.
This kid is massive for UP because as we've seen, even with Batangilas, this kid has a shot. He's not afraid of taking that shot. He can take it from inside and outside, and he will add grabe yung firepower na binibigay ng batang to sa UP, no? So the winner, if you ask me, UP.
Oh yeah, definitely.
LaSalle is a good team. You
Ayan
know,
si Coach eh. Si
no.
Manong isa dyan. Kaya,
Seryoso tayo dyan. LaSalle is a good team. LaSalle is a good
right.
team.
Manong,
You cannot take these guys lightly. No, you take them
of
lightly, they're
course.
gonna knock you down a peg or two.
Of
No,
course.
that's a championship team they're building right there. And naman si Manong. Si Manong, unang pasok niyan sa UAP, they were just getting their feet wet. But the next year, they were already contending for the title, although they didn't win it. The next year, they went to the finals, and after that, they won. And if you ask me, they should have won 3 straight. It's a shame that they were not given that 3rd straight title.
Well, kumbaga ako ngayon natutuwa ako. You mentioned the crown jewel of this draft pick of this recruitment year is Kevin Kiamba. Manong, what's your thought on that? Mukhang yun na nagiging consensus Parang ikaw yata ay nakakuha ng pinakamalaking isda.
No, when I talk to these guys, like the mga galing high school, like Kevin, Kevin has when he gets into LaSalle, he has to step up to another level. Sometimes ang mistakes ng high school players is that when they get to the college level, larong high school pa rin, hindi na pwede yun. You gotta step up to another level, and that's what I've been telling these guys, like Kevin, sila Policarpio, and those guys, that you have to step up to another level. You cannot be too happy and contented that you played like this in high school. College is a different ballgame. It's a different level. So they really have to step up. But I really like Kevin. In fact, when they asked me why I picked Kevin, I wanted him in the team, and fortunately, we were able to convince him and to move over and play for LaSalle.
Wow. Ako excited ako sa lineup mo, coach. Maganda talaga. Ako tatanungin ko naman si Chairman. Chairman, as a alumni for LaSalle, and with the big fish daw being with you, what's your thought on that?
Well, everybody is recruiting, and it's a matter of strategy, and it's a matter of how you are able to appeal to the recruits. No? Well, personally, I'm happy LaSalle was able to get the blue chip recruits, not just only from the Philippines, but also from the PhilAm ranks. No?
Right.
So the way it's shaping up, it's UP, LaSalle, Ateneo, and FEU, UST. So we don't know. I don't know when the season starts. Everything is dependent on this pandemic. The only time we can see it is when we have the pre-season, like the Phil Oil had a pre-season that was aborted. No, That is a good
Yes.
basis. That is a good basis for determining possible outcomes.
Correct, correct. Kaya nga ako naman ipatatapon ko naman yung question kay Vince, who's one of the biggest fans of Lasal. What's your thought on having your big fish in? You have a pamalit na kay Justin Baltasar.
Well, nung nakuha ko yung um, parang may gut feel na ako na makukuha si Kevin. And then I think I saw sa social media, may nag-report, may nag-post na yung commitment niya. Syempre nakakatuwa. It was joy and happiness. I mean, as a diehard LaSalle fan. So because this kid can bring a lot to the table, as Mr. Olivares said, as Coach Derrick said, this kid is also athletically gifted. He can pass. He can also block shots. He can run. He has an outside shot that he probably needs a bit of work. But in my opinion, this kid's the complete package. If it's to replace Justin Baltasar, I think this is major improvement and a major upgrade from Justin.
Wow. Big words Talagang mukhang high expectations tayo kay Kevin Move on tayo. Meron pa tayong isang list from RD Rico Navarro. We got his list of the 10 biggest recruits. RD Rico, what's your thought on your recruit? Ayan na, meron ng Lasal. May dalawa pa, Philips. Game. Give us your thought on your pick. Hala.
Hey, I'll just add more points than kay Rick. I don't want to repeat what he said already because it's right there. No? So yes, White Ramos and Derrick are clear top two. The only edge I think White Ramos would have is that, for instance, he's played with Vidas Pilipinas already. In trophy level, he seems to be at a playing level already. Just by the mere fact that he has practiced and played with the Vidas team. If you look at the way they played against Indonesia, sayang lang, we only saw one game. But if you notice the Indonesia game, funny, but the Ferdi Ravenas, the Nietos, and the White Rams actually fared pretty well, beside their PBA superstar. So that was a good gauge to check out. So I think Dwight Thomas will have the edge there coming into this season because of that certain level of maturity. The same thing for Kevin Kimbo, what Maron Derrick said. It's a matter of, remember, the disadvantage here of NU playing high school, they were playing and winning by margins of a mile.
Okay.
All right, so that could be an issue. And I know Manon Derrick will be telling Kevin that this is no longer high school. We will not blow out teams by 30 to 40 points, and it will be tougher. But internally, you have that competitiveness within the team, the depth of the bench and all that. So Kevin will have to step up to realize that. But once he realizes that, and I know he can, he will be able to adjust. Now, the nice thing about Kevin is that he's also an emotional. He'll be an emotional leader type of a team. That picture that we have right here best describes him. He's an emotional player who shouts a lot, yells a lot, and that will be a big plus for them. So, Carl Tamayo, I'll be biased. He's also from Cebu. He's one of those who transferred from Cebu at a very young age because of his height, definitely. He played Pasarel ball for Cebu.
Ano ginagawa ni Ea doon?
From Iloilo. And yes, for Carl Tamayo, in fact, they have him also probably playing the 3 once in a while if they want to go big and long and tall. Let's see how that develops. Then I'm interested with the Phillips brothers. I haven't seen them play, but I've heard a lot about them. I've seen some tape. This will be really interesting. I mean, anytime you have 2 6'8" or 6'7", 6'8" guys on one team, one who average, and when you average 12 points a game in the high school, that's okay in the States. Then when you have an older brother who has finished college already, that brings in the maturity and leadership, even if he's a rookie. So that'll be interesting. RC Kalimag, everything that Rick was saying was spot on. And I'm putting in Miguel Tan because I have a bias also for guys who come from the not so quote-unquote popular schools in high school. Xavier would be it. Remember, Miguel Tan also played for Batanginas, although he's not as flashy, but he is a stretch four, pick and pop from the outside, very hardworking, not much fanfare, not much play, but he'll get the job done. Going to UP, however, the tough part will be the playing time, and the same will be true for Tamayo and Abadiano. It's a loaded lineup. I'm adding, because I'm from Cebu and from the south, I have to add them. This are like honorable mentions. Kevin Gibao and Ice Blanco Antiveros. With Ice, he is somebody who actually spent time in Manila. He was in the Southern Hills, I think spent a year, 2 years, something like that. Then he's an example of going back to Cebu, get the playing time, get the exposure, and true enough, through the 2 years he was here, he was able to really improve a lot. And I know that he's made a decision already, but they haven't announced it yet. So I don't want to preempt that. Don Ontiveros is also a friend. Okay, so we'll wait for guys to announce that. Kevin Gibao, meanwhile, is a 6'3", small forward, do it all also. Outside, inside. Eto, very, very humble, very nice person. He lets his work and do the talking. He doesn't talk much, but he gets a job done just very quietly. I mean, when you talk about Ice and Kevin, they're not going to, steal a lot of playing time, that's for sure. But they will get quality minutes for whoever picks them up. Definitely, for Kevin. Ice will be the looking direct question. We'll find out, I think, next week.
Okay. Babalik uli ako kay Manong. Manong, meron ka palang dalawa paldo, no? Nasa top 10 naman ni RD Rico. Tell us your thoughts about your Phillips brothers.
Well, see, when I got here, they already, parang last year pa, I think they were already with LaSalle now. But polishing pa rin ang kailangan ni Michael, younger. But he's still a work in process. But he will give us, the both brothers probably give us a lot of energy, intensity. They're aggressive. They're very good team. Parang they're leaders there. Good bench players. Mga maganda. They bring a lot to the table. Hopefully that they'll be able to do that on the AP. And these two will rebound. That's one thing I love with these two guys. They will really rebound. They will always fight for the ball. They're not the type of players that will just stand around and watch the ball and wait for it. They will come and get the ball. So especially Michael. Michael is probably about 6'7", probably 6'7". See, Benjamin is probably like 6'5", 6'6".
Right. I think Tineo also has the Ramos brothers, So talagang meron talaga. I think it's brewing up to be an Ateneo Lasal brother, Ateneo brother. Nako, type of thing, Kaya ako para bang so excited for this particular UAP and NCAA season, Balik ako kay Chairman, yan, meron pa pala kayong Lasal na dalawang Philips o parehas pa first name mo. Paano yan? So, lalo lumalakas ang Lasal. I think I pencil it a very a bounce back year for Lasal. What's your thought on your Phillips brothers? Ay, Chairman. Ayan, taka. Ayan, Chairman.
I met.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yes.
I met Michael. I met Michael last year.
Yes.
When he was still staying with Rafi Villavicencio, and the father was here, and seems to be a very well behaved young person. I did not meet Ben, and he seems to be very motivated, and I think he will be an addition in a plus factor to the lineup of Derrick, no? So ang problema diyan, ang dami nila, no? So how do you distribute the time to these people? Because as somebody said earlier, I think it was Rico, you cannot bench a rookie. Baka bumaba ang morale. So that is going to be a challenge also. So we'll see. The other teams also probably have the same problem when you're loaded with talent.
Right. Kaya nga, Lasal is traditionally, every year talagang loaded with talent. And I'm seeing good things for Manong's team, Rick, you mentioned
Mm,
earlier kanina your top two teams are this, So let's show our viewers kung sino ba talaga from your picks ang nanalo this coming this collegiate recruitment season. Ito 'yan. From
I,
your point of view, it's UP and LaSalle.
yeah,
From RD Rico's point of view, it's LaSalle, UP, LPU, and San Beda. Ba, your thoughts on your picks?
I agree with that. I think it's LaSalle and UP. No, they've really built some really good teams to take the crown from Ateneo.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think nandun yung gutom factor. But
Right.
there's a lot. You need to. You don't know how the rookies will perform. We don't know. No one knows that until you start to see them in the summer leagues. Technically, we're not gonna have a summer league. It's like a preseason na lang. Tama si Manong.
Right.
Kailangan mo ng preseason para makita to eh. Tsaka,
Uh-uh.
pero that's not indicative that they will perform. You've seen some players do well in the preseason. Pagdating ng UAP and NC, dinadaga. So there's a lot, there's a lot. And all, they know that there's the burden of expectation upon them.
Right.
That's where you'll see how good they are if they're able to weather that. And you were saying, even Rico was saying that si Dwight Ramos was already showing, preseason pa lang yan eh. Although nagpakita siya ng Champions League, malalaman natin talaga pag ito na. Kasi
Right.
pag preseason tsaka UAP, no? Especially the first couple of games.
Mm.
So
Kaya
yun,
ako naman, go ahead.
I think it's UP and LaSalle. Beda is Beda. They'll always be competitive. They're the gold standard for the NCAA. Let's see if LPU finally. Alam mo, problem ko sa LPU, wala silang dependable front line eh. Yeah, that's why I never saw them beating San Beda. They didn't have that dependable front line. Even with Mike Isuzu is actually a two guard masquerading as a center. Mahirap yun eh. Kailangan mo talaga ng front line to help you get there. And I think that the way LaSalle and UP have built themselves up and steady lang ang San Beda sa ganyan. In my book, these three schools have solid chances of winning a championship. Solid chances.
What's apparent now is that wala kayong nilagay na Ateneo dyan.
Hindi sa, alam mo, I don't know yet what kind of. They're good. There's no doubt they're good. But you need. People talk about team play, and that, of course, they're right up there, definitely. They're, if you ask me, they're still the team to beat. However, we're gonna have to find out who can really. We know that SJ can fill the slot vacated by Matt Nieto. More or less, Dwight is showing that he can fill the slot of a third Ravenna. But now, when the chips are down, you need these guys to put those points in the basket, on the board. So that if they can approximate that, and naman they have a very good team, they can still win it all. Ito lang prediction ko. If they win it next year, if they go for 4 straight, they'll go for 5 straight. Trust me in that.
Oh yeah, of course. It's always gonna be the kind of mentality of that team, Pero ako may question ako, guys, Vince, hindi kaya magkaroon ng fatigue ang UP for playing time? I think they're all stacked up with so much talent. Baka naman mamaya, and the issue of personality as well, But Vince, what's your thought on that? Baka lang mamaya niyan magkaroon lang sila ng too much talent? Baka mamaya? What do you think?
But that will depend on how Coach Bo Perasol mixes and matches his kids, his players, because somebody has to give. Unfortunately, somebody's playing time may be diminished or maybe lessened, and basketball is a team game. You have to share the ball. Everybody has to get their touches. These kids may want to have their share of touches, may want to have their share of minutes. that's all on that's all on the coaching staff of UP, on Coach Bo to develop chemistry among these kids, to have them gel by the time the season comes around, and to develop an attitude or a personality that there's no I in team, that you're willing to sacrifice for the bigger picture, which is UP's championships, first championship since 1986.
Right. Kasi ako para bang naisip ko, ang dami na. They still have Richie Rivero there and Kobe Paras. And if the GDL brothers are there, how do you fit everyone together? And they still have Tungkab and everything. With that said, guys, it's time for us to really, put our predictions in, put our early predictions in terms of Final Four. Syempre, sino ba magpa-Final Four na nakikita nyo for both for both UAAP and NCAA? I'll start with you, Rick, and then we pass the discussion in on who do you think will be the four competitive teams of both UAAP and NCAA. Start with you.
Okay, for UAP, it's Ateneo, Lasal, UST, and UP. All
Wow.
right. For the NCAA, San Beda, Letran is good. I think that LPU should be right back there.
Okay.
But let's see, no? Malaki rin yung losses nila eh. The fourth slot, to be honest with you, I'm not sure. I think it's a toss-up between many squads. Kasi ang hirap eh. I think some schools have lost their coaches. And you don't know what kind of system these other guys are going to be bringing in. You don't know how effective they'll be. No? So I'm hedging on that fourth spot sa NC. But offhand, San Beda, Letran, and then even LPU.
Right. Maybe you don't sleep on Mapua. Mapua has para ako nakikita ko, pero kay Coach Randy ikot lang ako, Rick. Vince, who's your top 4 UAP and NC? Huliin ko na si Manong. Huli ko na si Manong, ikaw huli ha. Ikaw
sa UAP, Ateneo, Lasal, UP, and UST, and then for the NCAA, similar to Mr. Olivares' picks, the fourth will be open to the rest of the schools. That's ang pag-aagawan.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks,
all right. Sige. No problem. All right. RD Rico Navarro, who's your pick? UAP NC.
Copy and paste ako eh. Paano nangyari yan? It is Ateneo, Lasal, UST, and UP. If we add a 50 that could probably make it there, it would probably be FEU. But at least, hindi copy and paste. Kumbaga, then, Mapua, for NCAA, yes, maybe Mapua is the fourth team. But like I said, free for all ang number 4 spot in the NC. It's San Beda, Lyceum, and Letran.
Okay. So, tayo, parang talagang sana susurprise ako. Walang FEU, ako. Baka magalit sa akin si Coach Ryan Betcha. Bigay ko muna sa iyo, Chairman, who's your top 4, NC and UAP?
Well, sa NC, I'm not too familiar. Although San Beda should always be there, and of course Letran.
Yes.
Sa UAAP, based on what you guys have been saying, Lasal, UP, Ateneo, and the fourth slot could be the UST or FEU. FEU has always been a contender.
Yes.
They're a scrappy and gritty team. So they should be gunning for one of those 4 slots.
I agree. Ngayon, bibigyan na natin kay Manong. Manong, sino ang yung top 4 predictions ha? Siyempre, lahat makikinig kami sa iyo.
For me, siyempre, yung top 4 pa yung Final 4 last year. No? And I would be lying if we're not looking at making it to the Final 4. In fact, that is our immediate goal. Now, we've been out for the last two season, no? Back-to-back fifth place kami. But we're looking at getting back this
Hey,
season if we're in the
hey,
Final Four. So that's our immediate goal right now, is to make it back to the Final Four. And then as for NC, some beda pa rin, Letran, and I think Lyceum, and probably I would say San Sebastian. San Sebastian.
San Sebastian, ako sila Coach
Yes.
Egay or sila RK ang mga nandiyan So talagang at least stock up tayo no. Ang hinihintay na lang natin magsimula uli. Yun yun na lang ang kulang magsimula na lang uli tayo. And kami nga dun sa PhilOil kami nila Rick and nila Boss Joey Guillermo we were looking forward into doing the preseason already and things turned out not what we expected all of us So with that said, um mga sirs, thank you very much for being with us on this discussion. It's been very very productive at napakarami rin nating nalaman at dami nating na nakuhang information. So, ikot lang ako kasi normally yung ginagawa namin sa show is that we try to ask each of the guests if they have some endeavors, something to sell, something to kasi dun sa mga PSL, sa mga players we try to ask them what are the things that you are involved with ngayong pandemic. So, this is your time to promote all of the materials and all of the endeavors and the things that you sell. I start with you, Rick, for us to for the audience if you could say your goodbyes to them and promote something that you have go ahead.
Thanks, Benny. No, this
Yep.
pandemic, I've been doing online courses in journalism, and I have
Yep.
about 36 students.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be an ongoing thing. So I'm already getting inquiries for my third batch. Naka
Oh,
two
good.
batches na ako. So I'm also actually on Monday I begin teaching also for this other school. There have been offers from some NCA schools, and I want to, but there's a clash in schedules
Okay.
because I also have my other rackets. No, um, so the one I'll be teaching is a college from Pampanga. Yun muna. Ano na yun, tulong ko na rin sa isang friend ko. And the other thing is I'm trying to figure out how I'm also deeply embedded in the music scene. I manage
Okay.
some
Yeah.
bands and we're supposed to be
Go.
recording, but the pandemic happened. So I have to figure out how we record and to talk about it because not everyone has the gear to record at home. So
Okay.
music is a passion.
Yes.
Mas music ako talaga. Although I love sports, I played football before in Ateneo and ayun na. So if there are people interested in my online classes, look me up on Twitter or even on Facebook or even in Instagram. My
Your
Instagram
blog.
account,
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
don't hindi ko na masyado linalagyan yun kasi may
Okay.
exclusivity So I keep it
Okay.
to
Okay.
ABS-CBN, Philippine Star,
Sure.
kung saan ko kasama si Sir Philip, and
Okay.
also Business Mirror. No? So,
All right.
ayun. So look me up on Instagram at Rickenbackerman. Bakit Rickenbackerman? Kasi yun yung una kong gitara, Rickenbacker.
Okay.
So Twitter, it's Ricky with a Y, Olivares, and Facebook, my name, Rico Olivares. Thank you so much. Hi
All right.
Manong, hi Sir Philip, hi Vince, and hi Rico.
Thank you very much, Rick. Vince, if you have anything to promote, anything that you would like to say to our audience before we leave, go ahead.
Well, stay safe, everyone. And so right now, I'm a sports columnist for the Business Mirror. My column comes out every Tuesday, and then I also write for Pinoyliga.com. So I work with Benny, and that the articles there come out every Saturday,
Sunday,
Saturday, Sunday. Sorry,
Saturday, Sunday. Yeah.
every
Go ahead.
weekend. It comes out every
Yep.
weekend, so stay tuned. And I also have Sports Without Borders on Facebook. Please log on, like, share, comment. I look forward with engaging with you all. So yeah, stay safe, everyone. Let's beat
Okay.
this pandemic. We can all go back to watching the college basketball we love.
Yes, sirree. Yes, sirree. Thank you very much, Vince, for being with us on this, and for being, palaging available for additional speakers so pag dito sa ating mga talk. Thank you very much. RD Rico Navarro, Game.
Yes,
Anything
sure.
that you need to promote? Go
Morning
ahead.
gabi to all, and to promote din naman, it's more just don't forget Bleacher Talks to Go. It comes out in the Freeman or the sister company of the Philippine Star in Cebu. It comes out every Sunday. Facebook page is Bleacher Talk Cebu. And of course, I'd like to. Well, we're cooking up a few things right now. Many people know I'm also in charge of the Cebu Youth Basketball League, or it's now called the MYBL Cebu as well. Since we
Yes,
can't
yes.
play games this season, we're cooking up some online gimmicks as well at the MYBL Cebu page, along working with the MYBL CDO page. No? So we're cooking up a few things here and there. So you watch out for that. That'll be something very interesting.
Thank you very much, RD Rico, and I hope to see you soon when the pandemic is over at meron kayong mga conferences dito sa SBP we will have our time in the sun here in Manila. Coach Manong, I'll send it to
Yes.
you if you have anything that you need
wala,
to promote, anything that
wala.
it's
There's
your
nothing to promote
endeavor.
actually. But right now,
Okay.
what's keeping me busy is that we have an online workout or training from Monday to
Mm,
Friday, early from 9 to like 11.
okay.
And then make use of this pandemic, this lockdown, to
All
update
right.
on a lot of things, especially sa basketball, no? Update on a lot of things. Kasi it's a continuous learning process ang coaching, no? It's not just what you learn, no? It's a continuous learning process. So I make use of this time. I take advantage of it, read a lot of books, watch a lot of tapes, and just update things. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Huwag pasaway para makalaro tayo ng basketball.
Oo nga, 'di ba? Coach, gusto na namin mapanood kayo. Gusto na nga namin magsimula yung Field Oil pagkatapos NCU up agad, 'di ba? So, okay. Chairman, I give the floor to you. If you have anything to promote, anything that you need the public to be aware of, go ahead.
Well, well, with this pandemic, we have a solar energy
Mhm.
and infrastructure company
Okay.
which survived, is continuing to survive. We have not laid off anybody. We have paid all of their salaries, and we continue to service the solar energy requirements of our people. Now, on the volleyball side, what has kept us busy has been coming up with the rules on the return to practice and competition of the 8 PSL teams.
Yes.
And I'm happy to report just last night, we submitted again a revised version because the Department of Health, the PSC, the GAB, and even the IATF asked for certain fine tuning, and we are alive and kicking. And the other thing that keeps keeping me busy is managing the whatever we can do in terms of training the national team. I'm happy to report that our first Filipino Olympic qualifier, EJ Obiena, won a bronze medal in the Diamond League, which, if you will look at the competitors, is like a preview to the Olympics. Uh, Steve Duplantis was there from the United States, Sweden, silver, gold medal, and then silver medal. I forgot from I think from Belgium,
Belgium.
and then DJ EJ. So despite the difficulties that we have as a country, we are dealing with it, and we are working with what we have wherever we are, because we cannot just stay out, stay idle. If our athletes do not
Yes, yes.
if our athletes do not continue to train, to practice, as they say, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Agree. Thank you very much, Chairman, for that. And again, I've always been very vocal about this, and thank you for trusting us with Usapang PSL. So, yep. Um, Mga sirs, again, we'd like to thank you on behalf of the whole Bull by the Horn staff and crew, the ones that prepared this episode. We'd like to thank Rick, Vince, RD Rico, Coach Manong, Derrick Pumaren, and of course Chairman Rico for your time. I know it's really it's a Saturday, and it's a time for family, but you spend time with us, and for that we are forever appreciative of it. So with that said, ito tradition lang natin when I take out the guest from the stream, ganito lang kayo, no, para at least our audience will try to see that yung bumababay na kayo. So bye-bye guys, when I take you out, gaganito lang muna tayo. Bye. Coach, alis na
Yeah.
tayo. Thank you very much for being with us.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rick. Thank you very much, Vince. Thank you very much, RD. There. Grabe. Dwight Ramos, number one pick. Actually, to be honest, Dwight Ramos is really para bang um, the body physically, he's really prepared for it. He's really something that is a tool for Coach Tab Baldwin. Talagang ang laking factor. So tama naman So I think we're looking at a very very competitive landscape for both the UAAP and the NCAA. What's apparent now is that UP is stacked up with so much talent. LaSalle is also stacked up with talent. They got one of the biggest prize of this recruitment year. Ateneo is the gold standard when it comes to the NCAA. Under the radar, pero ang laking factor na apat. We never talked about Ryan Amsali also and Tony Inot, pero San Beda is right up there in terms of recruitment. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be exciting for the rest of our teams, and we're hoping for good things already. Sana ma-overcome na natin tong COVID, so that we'd be able to go ahead and watch our favorite collegiate games. We have a few minutes bago tayo magsara. So we'd like to congratulate our winner for the Kickstart Coffee question of the day. Okay, Mr. Julian Lapid. He wins for himself the Kickstart Coffee Question of the Day award. So we'll be sending to you our gift pack for the day. Julian, thank you very much for always supporting Bull by the Horn and for listening to us. So our production crew will be coordinating with you for your prize. Thank you very much for supporting us. So yeah, it's gonna be a good um new season for the collegiate wars. So for next week po, balik na naman tayo sa usapang PSL, and we got your permanent host, Miss Abby Chang Maranyo, for next week po. And abangan nyo po, marami po tayong niluluto. We just recently onboarded Off the Record with Mix Bustos as another webcast that will be shown over the Pinoyliga TV brand and the Facebook page. We also have Jump Through Hoops with Aaron Ataide and Gino Rufino with their pilot episode on Tuesday 7 o'clock po over Pinoy Liga Facebook page. So meron po tayong dalawang bagong aabangan na webcasts. So apart from Bull by the Horn, usapang PSL, so ano po ba yan? Off the Record with Mix Bustos and Jump Through Hoops, Gino Rufino and Aaron Ataide. So yeah, again, it's almost 1 hour and 45 minutes of stream and nandyan pa rin kayo. So thank you very much for it. Ako po ay magpapaalam muna. And for next week, it's gonna be Chang Abi that's gonna be with you. So ako po muna, ililipat na ako dun sa likod. Doon na ako sa behind the scenes, para ihatid po sa inyo yung usapang PSL. This time with Chang Abi Maranyo. So with that said, mga kaibigan, mga kabul by the horn, marami pong salamat. Marami pong salamat for being with us and for sharing your Saturdays with us. And sana po tuloy-tuloy na po na kami po yung maging maging Saturday habit. No, Saturday habit. So thank you very much once again. So with that said, ako po yung magpapaalam muna and see you next week for Usapang PSL.
When uncertainty is our reality, we rise above with the things that matter. Gigify happiness. Gigify love. Gigify friendship. Gigify dreams. Gigify hope. With smart Giga music, video, games, work, and stories, we let our passions run free in the new world we face together. Smart, live Giga.